Womanology, and I'm Candace. We have my cousin Candace back on with us. So if many people do not know, I don't think you all follow her on social media, and you possibly should, because she is actually a LPC. She is our counselor. We are going to kind of have like a little session because May was Mental Health Month and Maternity Month. And I think June is not only Men's Mental Health Month, but it's also Child Loss Month, I believe. I think so. I think it is. I'm going to look that up really quick. So we're going to be talking about something that's very, very serious and very, very dear to my heart. And particularly because maternal health is very important for women in general, but also for Black women. A lot of times we suffer from a lot of ailments that could have been solved, but when we don't have like proper health care, then, things go unnoticed. And Candace, you know about that as well.
Yeah, and just really just having a provider that hears you, because we don't necessarily experience the same thing as the next woman, but feeling like your provider like actually hear you when you're saying, hey, something is wrong or this feels off is very important as well. And a lot of people don't necessarily have that.
Yeah, they don't. So let's get started. We already start with an icebreaker. So I'm going to ask you what you're listening to, but I know you don't be listening to much music. So
actually, I've been listening to Miranda Curtis has a new song. I think it's called He Answered.
Okay.
I kind of been listening to that on repeat just as encouragement. Like things I've been praying for and waiting on.
What encouragement?
Just in my season of waiting, in my season of like not having answers that I need.
For sure.
Yeah, and the song is called He Answered. So I was like, okay.
So my songs I have been listening to, so I like Mariah Carey, and so she came out with Burning Blue. That song slaps. Now at first, no shade, Mariah Carey. I didn't think you wrote that. I'm gonna be real honest. I did not think you wrote that because I was like, dang, it's good.
Because it was so good.
Damn.
No shade, for real. And then I was looking up the lyrics like, dang, who the author of this song? When it said producer and writer, I said, listen, my bad. My bad, sis, my bad. So I've been listening to that, and that's the song that just came out. And one thing in particular on why I like this song is because, you know what a blue light means? So a blue light means that you're safe. It means, it's like a military thing that means everything's okay. It's like a safe light.
Okay.
And so instead of like somebody saying like, I am like sizzling over this person and I'm just so enamored, she's saying that she's safe. And I really like that because a lot of songs, we be wanting to be like in love but drive off a cliff. And like, I'll kill her for you, cheese. But nah, she's not saying that in this song. So that's one thing that I like about it. So yeah, so that's my icebreaker. Oh, what's your emoji for today? We gotta start out serious, y'all. Because this is kind of a serious topic. I'm a little nervous.
What is my emoji today? You know what? I would go with the excited emoji. I'm finally growing cauliflower and it's not dying on me.
Ooh.
So that's very exciting.
I want some lettuce.
Listen,
I still want some lettuce.
the lettuce have they've started to bolt, so they're no good right now.
What?
They're still in the flower. I left them in the ground too long.
So what about cabbage?
Those are still growing, so I can save you a cabbage head.
Save me a cabbage head. My cousin has a garden.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic.
Yes. So I want to start a garden. I keep saying that.
You need to.
But I don't know what to do, and then I sometimes get overwhelmed with big projects. So
you got a resource right here. We can start small.
I do. I'm not gonna lie. I do. I get overwhelmed. It's part of my ADHD brain. I get overwhelmed with big projects. But when I started, I be fine. It's just like I got to start it.
Yes.
So yeah, so yours is excitement, and my emoji is nervous because I am nervous because I am going to talk about a topic that's near and dear to me that I think a lot of women struggle with, with this topic in particular, and it's a lot of embarrassment, and but we shouldn't be embarrassed because these are our bodies, these are things that happen, right? So a lot of times, I know we spoke previously about like exes and relationships and things like that, but that's not what this podcast is about. So what people really don't know is that for a long period of time is that I had suffered with fibroids. And so fibroids, if you don't know, it's like a tumor. Sometimes it's a cancerous tumor, but sometimes it's not. Like sometimes it's just benign. But what it is, it grows in your uterine wall or it grows inside your uterus, depending on the placement of where it can be. And so for me, I had one like stuck in my uterine line like forever, like for years, like in that lining piece. And so what happened is that it just caused me to be very sick. Cycles would be horrible, and it also caused miscarriages. So I actually suffered miscarriages while I, had those fibromas tumors. And so one thing in particular I don't think that people understand about miscarriages is that, like, it is a life that you carry, and it is something that you really want. However, you don't have control over it. Like, you don't have control over the things that could possibly happen. It's like sometimes, and here's another thing that I actually read. So sometimes it's not necessarily your body. Mm-hmm. It can be that it's a genetic factor and then your body gets rid of it. Or it can be like on the male and they didn't have a strong enough sperm and that's why your body gets rid of it. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes, it can be the fibromas tumors. So it can be one of those three factors. But that's one thing in particular that I know a lot of women have talked about or are afraid to talk about, the miscarriage that happens while they're in relationships when they're wanting to have a child. So another reason why I brought this up is because my cousin Candace, she can talk me through this and we can just discuss on what happened and feelings that go, that goes with that loss.
Yeah, but first of all, I want to acknowledge, one, you sharing it, but then also sharing it publicly is another level of vulnerability that can be challenging to have, because already I feel like I'm going to say black women, but not necessarily just black women, but it's not normal for us to be vulnerable. We have to kind of practice putting ourselves in this space because we're so strong and all of that. So I commend you for that. Yes. For even sharing this publicly as a topic to bring awareness while you're also dealing with whatever emotions that come along with that. Because obviously there are emotions, like you said, Now, I don't know if you shared how many you had.
No, I haven't shared how many I've had. So in the span of that relationship, I've had 3 of them. And so the problem that was having is like, the one of the 3 that I just mentioned, right? So even in that sense, one thing I did not know, and here's another reason where maternal health or women's health is so important. So the last time that I was going through it, I was talking to my OBGYN. Now, mind you, my OBGYN, I kind of knew her. And when I say I kind of knew her, like she, I ain't going to say that. Never mind. But I kind of knew her or whatever. I'll just tell y'all off camera. But anyway, I say that to be like, when I had an ultrasound to see what was going on, and I was like, what's that? Because I'm looking at the ultrasound too. And so she was like, oh yeah, that's a fibrosis tumor. And I was like, you never told me this. But I didn't find out that I actually had these until the last miscarriage when they were doing an ultrasound, and I found out during that miscarriage that it's a possibility that I was going to miscarry. And that's when I saw, like, you can see it on the ultrasound. And I had asked her, I was like, what's that or whatever? Like, is that the baby? And so she was like, no, here's the baby. And something about the heartbeat wasn't strong enough. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so I was just kind of processing things inside, like turning up, like just like being the most. That's the thing, like Black women, we gotta be strong and everything. So like in my head, I was like dying, but like I'm sitting there like, oh.
And you just said something that I want to go back to. One, you're already dealing with the news of this possibility, but it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, you found out before there was even a miscarriage.
Correct. I didn't even know. I had no idea that these were growing in my body. Not only did I have no idea that these were growing in my body, I found out during the ultrasound, because you have an ultrasound. It's been like, I think at that time it was like 8 weeks or something, so I was going for my first ultrasound or whatever. And so then she was talking to me, and so just, like, oh, the birthday, and da-da-da-da, and then I remember particularly, she was like looking, and she was like, just, making a regular conversation. So she was looking for the heartbeat. I remember she was looking particular. And I was, looking, for it, I guess, any time, like, really. And she couldn't find it. Well, she found it. Let me take that back. Remember I said it wasn't strong enough. So it was still life there. It's still breathing life there. But, she was letting me know, like, wait a minute, this isn't strong enough. This is what's supposed to happen. And this is what we're getting. And they're just not matching up. Yeah. And like I said, when she was looking for the baby, I was like, what are those? And that's how I found out.
So was there an awareness of the fibroids on your doctor's end?
I don't know. Actually, on my doctor's end, that's a great question, because I don't know if it was an awareness on my doctor's end. I know I didn't know. And then I remember talking to her after I read the ultrasound or whatever. And I remember talking to her. I'm like, so you didn't tell me? And so she was all like, oh yeah. Girl, I
ain't know. That's what's throwing me off.
Girl, so she like, you the doctor. This your job.
Yeah.
I didn't go to school for 12 years to be out, because I didn't go to school for 10 or 12 years for this. This is what you're supposed to tell me. Inform the patient. So no, I had no idea. And it's not that I wasn't reading my charts. You know how you get your appointments and they give you the cliff notes of what happened?
Absolutely.
Oh, I was reading those things. It wasn't even in there.
But that's not it should be in your chart, but like, that's a conversation.
Yeah.
Regardless, like, that's something we would have to be talking about. Cause that's serious.
That's very serious. Yeah. It's so serious that, you have health complications that comes with that. Like, severe anemia, all those things. Because, you're losing so much, blood and your iron goes down so super fast.
I am Dom with the Uncaped Mama podcast. What can you expect on the Uncaped Mama podcast? Well, one, you can expect me talking about all types of topics related to motherhood and parenting. So things like, things I've already talked about here, right, are going through loss and experiencing loss and rebuilding your relationship with yourself. I've talked about child support and all the issues surrounding that. I'll talk about money and finances. I've talked about self-care for parents. I will have myself, I'll have guests, I will have funny and light topics and also some more serious topics. My goal here is for moms to take their capes off, be okay with the good, bad, and the in-between that comes with motherhood, and to be able to shape your journey the way that works best for you and your children. You are unique. You are different. There's lots of advice out there and a lot of information you can process. And my goal is for you to determine what works best for you. So that is the purpose of the Uncaped Mama podcast. That is what you will see here. Make sure to like, subscribe, listen, follow, engage with me. I would love to connect with you, and I'll see you on the next.
Because your iron is super low. So yes, that's a for real health complication, and that's a for real health cause.
Wow. Because in that moment, you're really dealing with grief of like, I've just been told I am about to lose the baby I just found out about.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was. And so, so I say that to be like, you know, a lot of women they struggle with that. And, you know, we don't necessarily talk about this topic because it's more so trying to be the strong woman. So I'll never forget, I was working with somebody and, it was a lot of us and we were talking about, women's health and we were talking about maternal health actually. And so, she had said like, yeah, my mom back in the day had 6 miscarriages and she just kept going on and nothing, like literally we're told to, again, pull your bootstraps up and just keep going because at least you ain't got no baby or at least you don't have no responsibilities. And it was supposed to happen. Now, possibility, it probably, I do understand that it is a blessing in disguise, even though it was hurtful because of the situation I was in. I can understand that. However, regardless of it being a blessing in disguise or something, it's still a hurtful thing.
Yes, and it's still emotional baggage that you'll carry until it's dealt with.
Until it's dealt with. Yeah, so that's what happened with that. And I think a lot of times when we think about miscarriages or loss, I don't know, Candace, what do you think? Like, because sometimes when we don't see it, then I don't think people understand it's like really big.
Oh yes, I agree with that because there's so many variables, so many different ways that people define a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so if the person you are with does not believe that at conception this is a baby or that, you know, this is a life that you're actually carrying, that's a very different response to you as the mother of like, I am carrying this, like this is impacting me, although it wasn't a full-term pregnancy.
Correct.
You know, and so yes, there is this perception that, what are you crying for?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times even, and I can say this from my family perspective, like when I was sad about it, like, it was, I don't know, like I wasn't even a long time to be sad about it. Like it was like, oh, okay, this happened this one day, and that's it. Like, you okay now?
Yeah, you spoke to something. People will give you space to grieve a little bit, but if you grieving too long, if you grieving past when they think you should be done, their response switch up real quick, and you like, sometimes we just shut up about it, and now it's this inward thing that we're not really dealing with because of the negative response that you receive.
Correct, and then sometimes a lot of women, after they've grieve that time period that they're supposed to grieve, then they continue to have a different grief that they have to, have to deal with and have to go through.
Yeah, and that can show up differently for different women. You know, I know some people who feel an emptiness every now and then, or have a wake up having dreams about the baby that they've already named that, is not. So it impacts everybody differently, but however it impacts you, I believe it's important to like process that in a space that's not gonna be, okay, you're not done grieving yet. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
It is crazy. So how does somebody like process that? Because I'm telling you, okay, so here's the thing. When it happened to me, right? So remember I told you I had 3, but 3 was at different time periods or whatever. So I'm gonna be honest. When I had the second one, I was graduating from grad school. So it was like a trying time, meaning like a busy time, right?
Yeah.
So it was like I got this, I got that, I got this, and I got that, and then I'm pregnant. And so in that time span, I really wasn't given a chance to grieve because I had other things that I had to make sure were in order.
Yeah.
Life. And I just I didn't have the time to like really talk and really grieve the whole situation. Or even at that time, talk to my partner about the whole situation because honestly, he just wasn't very supportive. So I just didn't have the time, like anybody to talk to. So how would one, able to maneuver or manipulate that?
Yeah, truthfully, sometimes finding support is going to be outside of your family.
Yeah.
It is going to be outside of the relationship that you're in. just because sometimes those responses aren't helpful, you know, and that's when I tell people, if you don't have a close friend that you can share that with, maybe you do need to seek therapy. You know, maybe you do need to, we do also do a lot of like grief and loss groups. It doesn't necessarily like, oh, I have to connect with other women who've had a miscarriage specifically, because it's all connected to grief and loss or whatnot, and that may be the very thing that you need, you know, because it's support. Anybody know, trying to work through something on your own is not as easy as if you were doing it with someone else.
Yeah. I'm happy that you mentioned that. And here's the other thing. So you said like about like talk to a friend that's outside your family or outside your partner. But like I was talking to somebody and we were at a brunch. It was like a big group of us and we were just having a grand time and talking. And so one thing in particular when it comes to like counseling or therapy, some people actually believe like I can just talk to my girlfriends about, you know, like you already laughing. I can just talk to my girlfriends about like what's bothering me, what's going on. And then how is that different from seeking like professional help?
In a variety of ways. Yes, our girlfriends are good. You know what I mean? Like, I can say what I want to say. I mean, same thing in therapy. You can say what you want to say. But really, when we're talking about therapy, it's not, I'm going to this person and she's going to give me all of it, or he is going to give me all of these answers. It's really help to shape your thinking patterns and rewire it in a way to where we talk you through whatever that destination is, right? So it's like you are processing, releasing, and coming to a conclusion on your own. Because when it's you are buying into something that you say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. You know, and sometimes when we're in our friend circles, they're giving us the worst advice. Like, girl, let's go do X, Y, and Z. Yeah, they're validating our craziness, the toxic part of us. You know what I'm saying? That's just what we do. You know?
Listen, but you ain't never lied because I have had conversations with my girlfriends. I'm like, yeah, I'll come pick you up.
Listen,
we can go together.
Yeah, so, but you have to know the difference because I feel like I do have people in my family who would not give me crazy, you know, input. But sometimes we don't know our circles. You know, sometimes we tell, you know, just because this is my friend. You gotta read your own room.
Right. No, straight up. Keep going. I got you.
Yeah, that piece is important because I have some people where, I'm talking about my single mother stuff, my single mother woes. And I got this person where I'm talking about relationships because this person can't handle that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you really have to know your circle of friends. And if you ain't got that, like, you just ain't got it. But one thing I like about therapy is I see a therapist. And grief and loss can be it's not just death. You know, it's not just miscarriage. We can grieve loss of so many different things. But the fact that this person is bound by HIPAA, so I can literally go in there and say whatever it is I want to say. Obviously, not me, you know, when it killed someone or hurt myself, but you know what I mean.
Sometimes I gotta tell no, I'm just playing. Sometimes with my therapist, I really like her. I haven't got to the point where I'm like, do I want to say this? So I'm happy that she makes that comfortable. But at the time I didn't have a therapist. Remember, I was just busy. I just started seeking professional help not too long ago. So
how did you initially handle it?
So I'm gonna tell you what happened. So on how the second one and then the last one, how I handled that, which was totally different. So the second one, I was just like, oh, okay. This is supposed to happen. I'm trying to, you know, start my new career. This is what's supposed to happen. So I'm okay. It just wasn't meant to be. He's okay. You know, everything. And honestly, truthfully, I felt embarrassed by getting pregnant, and then I felt embarrassed by the miscarriage. And I'm gonna tell you how. Because I didn't even tell him I was pregnant the second time until he told me that he knew I was pregnant the second time. And I was like, ugh, yeah. So And so we had a whole different conversation. So I was embarrassed to even say something. And then when I finally said something, then that's when I found out that I was having a miscarriage. So it's one of those things, because I was, like I said, I was really, really busy. Like, I was graduating from post-grad school. So not even grad school, I was graduating from post-grad school, applying for jobs, doing all the things, making sure my son was okay. So I just didn't feel like, I had time when I really felt like it was supposed to. So I didn't even grieve that for them. And so the last one, I took the worst. I took the hardest. The reason why I felt like I took the hardest is I couldn't understand, like, why does this keep happening to me?
Yeah.
Because not only could I not understand why this keeps happening to me, but, I felt like everything was settled. Like, I had my stuff together. Everybody was up to, like, I had room. Like, I just felt everything was settled. And I could not believe that God did this to me again. So I was, like, devastated.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, really
level of disappointment.
I was sad. I was devastated, and it was just like the worst feeling ever. And I don't think I understood at the time why it happened. I understand now why it happened, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful for that. But at the time, I did not understand. And I just felt so overwhelmed with sadness. But I was like angry, because I was like, why is this happening? Like, why is my body doing the same thing? And I was like really going back, like, am I stressed out? Like, is it stress? Is it health? Like, I didn't understand. Yeah. And so that last one, it really hurt me the most, particularly because that I was almost to the 3 month. So I was longer as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's pretty far compared to the third miscarriage is when you found out about the fibroids and all of that. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, my doctor didn't even tell me.
That literally is a whole nother. I'm just not okay with that.
She didn't tell me. Like, literally, I was looking and I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, there's the baby. I'm like, okay, there's the baby. And I'm like, what's that?
Well, it just make my eye switch.
This is why maternal health is, like, really important. This is why not only maternal health is really important, but I think when we talk about, like, mental health in itself, this is why it's important, because, like I said, I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed. And I just felt like I wasn't good enough. All the things that work with your, that work against you in building your self-confidence and your self-esteem.
Yeah. So you used the word embarrassed. You felt embarrassed when you found out you was pregnant, so you didn't tell him you was pregnant.
I didn't tell him the second time I was pregnant. I didn't tell him the other time either, because I was embarrassed.
So what do you think the embarrassment?
He still don't know to this day?
No, he don't.
He knows.
Oh, man, you know.
He's clear. But where do you think the embarrassment stemmed from?
Oh, that's a great question. I was embarrassed because I was pregnant. I wasn't married. And I thought that it would be received better if I was married.
Okay. So not necessarily embarrassed with sharing it with him, but embarrassed with sharing it with in general because of everybody you would have to share it with?
No, I was embarrassed with sharing with him.
Okay.
Because I didn't feel like he really wanted kids. Because, like, okay, here's my thing. Guys will say whatever. So you saying yes, obviously. But I don't think, like, when the time came that he was prepared, it was actually yes. So I felt embarrassed, like I had messed up his life and what he was trying to do.
How do you mess up?
I did. I'm just being honest.
You the one that's part of the team, leave it in.
I love that statement. That's the best statement ever.
I'm just saying. How you?
I was embarrassed.
He part of the team, leave it in.
I was so embarrassed.
That's on him.
No, when I say I was embarrassed because, okay.
Unless you took advantage of him, that's
No, she called, no.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. That's the only time you
I
should
ain't
take
definitely
advantage.
poking no hoes. No. And you want to know something? Free commercial. Do you know you really can't do that? Like, you can try and they still don't get, but it was
Really?
No, for real. Like,
That's all wives tell, basically?
Huh?
That's all wives
That's
tell?
a wild tell.
Oh,
We
wow.
had health class. And they was like, you know, like when they literally have a condom put on your fist, it goes all the way down, you try to poke it and nothing gets through. Nothing gets through. Like, they bulletproof. They've been lying to us. But no, okay, so here's why I felt embarrassed, because I knew, and this is probably what we talked about earlier, I knew that he wasn't where he wanted to be financially. And I knew where he wanted to be with his career. So I knew that. And so I knew that he was trying to figure out his new career path. And then I ended up pregnant. So I felt embarrassed by that I should not have ended up pregnant. And I did. I felt embarrassed, and I felt like I had ruined his life. So that's why I was embarrassed, and that's why I didn't tell him right away. But he was just like, he had asked me, he was like, you ain't had your period in a while. And I was like, yeah. Good thing you know this. I'm for real, that's how the conversation went, and I was like, yeah, good thing you know this. He was like, but you be hungry. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. And so, literally, you can see the wheels processing in his head as we're having this conversation. And he was like, so, is there anything you want to tell me? I'm like, no. And he was like, so, are you pregnant? And I was like, yes.
So you was just not going to tell him even when he asked you. Was there anything you said?
I did say mm-mm. I said
You
no.
send the t-shirt, team lead in.
I
Join
did
the
tell
club,
him.
join the team.
I said mm-mm. And then
Some have been joined a lot more than others.
I did say that. I was like mm-mm. And so he asked me, like, so you pregnant? And I was like, yeah. So he was like, so you just wasn't gonna say nothing? I was like, I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to say it. And I really didn't. I did not know how to tell him. I really did not know how to say it. And I was waiting for, like, I wasn't even waiting for, like, no cute way. I was just, like, kind of waiting for the right time.
What would have been the ideal right time in your head?
I don't know.
You would have just been waiting until you were showing it, and you wouldn't have had no choice but to say,
You're right, I'm baby.
this is yours.
It looks like you. For real, that's how I'm for real. But I really felt, again, like I felt embarrassed. I felt that it was my fault. I felt like I could have done better. Like, I felt that I felt that I failed everything. So, yeah.
So you really just took on the emotional weight of that whole situation.
I did, actually.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. And then carried it into another miscarriage.
Yeah.
So was it the same pattern when you found out about the pregnancy the third time? Did you not share it with him?
Yeah, I just said the third time I said the same thing.
Okay.
The third time, it was like, I think by the second time, he was like, okay, so we not telling people nothing. So I think by the third time, he was like, she's not going to tell me. So I'm going to have to figure it out by looking at signs. And I think that's what happened. Because I was, like I said, I was embarrassed and I was too afraid to say anything. And then the other funny part is that my mother, she was calling me. And so she was like, how every time I call, you always sleep. And I was like,
Signs.
I was like, what you mean? I be tired at work. And so she was like, she had asked me, she was like, so where are you about to go? And I was like, I'm on my way to see the doctor. And so she was like, are you pregnant?
Oh, snap.
I was like, congratulations. For real, we had this conversation. I was on my way to the doctor. Yeah. So that's how she found out. I told you I was embarrassed. I didn't know how to. So I was embarrassed because I wasn't married. And I had been dating this guy for a very long time, so everybody knew who he was. My family did. Friends too. So, and family. So everybody knew who he was. So obviously they weren't like, who your baby daddy? But I was embarrassed because, like, I would have wanted things differently, to play out differently.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes you have, like, a different type of scenario in your head that you want to play out, and it doesn't always happen?
Yeah.
And so I was embarrassed about that. And so when I got pregnant the third time, I literally didn't say nothing until I was like, I might want to start saying something.
Was it more so like your expectations of the situation weren't met, or was it like people around what people expected of you?
It was both. The reason why I expected it was both is because, like I said, I was with him for a very long time. So people just already automatically assumed that him and I were going to get married and things were going to play out differently. But that didn't happen. And so I was embarrassed because I didn't want this type of pattern. I wanted a different type of pattern, and it just didn't happen. And
I'm Doja. This Sleep. Yeah, we part of Just Posted Podcast, man. The best show on this network. Come on, check, girl.
Seriously, man. Just Posted. It's just me and Doja sitting back talking about what the fuck going on in the world and the streets.
We said labor of love. He said labor of love. I ain't say that shit. Shout out to, you know what I'm saying, everybody coming to watch, though, man. We really appreciate y'all. Holla at y'all later.
Hey, man, this nigga just tall for no reason.
gone.
And
Peace.
he do regular day jobs. Don't forget that.
And then when I told him prior on why I was embarrassed to tell him, it really wasn't well received. And so I was afraid of that reaction as well.
Yeah. So have you, which is understandable because you had already experienced the feedback from him in that manner before. When you shared something where you felt shame or you felt embarrassment, was that always the response from the other side?
What you mean by the other side?
From
like
him? Because you said it wasn't well received.
That's a great question, and I never really thought about it before. So, oh wow, we really going in depth. So, I think the only time that it wasn't well received was when the last pregnancy wasn't well received. And that's because with the last one, it was like, well, okay, it's going to keep happening. So I think it was like one of those things, like, yeah, you kind of got to stop playing around. But I did feel embarrassed because I knew what he was trying to do. And I felt embarrassed by the situation. And I took on all the emotional burden. I didn't allow him, I don't want to say I didn't allow him, but I covered up my feelings and the way that I was feeling because I was afraid of how he would react to things.
Man, and who did you see do that?
Jesus.
Huh?
I said Jesus.
I know. I was saying like him? Like literally him?
Just Jesus. That's it. Like nobody. I didn't talk to nobody about it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's not what I thought you asked that.
It wasn't, but okay. I see why she responded like that.
Oh, because that's making up like what? I was like, what did you see?
Okay, so
Okay, me and you heard the question.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so run that question.
And I only
answer it.
yes, I only asked
No, that's
because,
okay. I answer it better.
There was obviously a behavior pattern of, okay, when I feel shame or guilt, I'm not going to share it. I'm going to assume this person is going to respond this way and just do something else because I don't want those results.
Correct.
And so then it happened again.
Yep.
I'm sure it probably happened before this scenario.
Yeah.
with him. So that is a pattern that has been
established.
Yes. Whether it was like,
yes, it was.
I know somebody didn't sit you down and say, hey, let me teach you how to do this. You know how like we unconsciously.
No. That was definitely a pattern that was already established in the relationship from other disappointments that had took place. And so I was just already conditioned, and I am learning through therapy that that's not okay. But at the time, that I was already conditioned into being like, okay, so this is what you do, and this is what you do, and this is what you do. And I didn't realize that wasn't obviously healthy.
No, you were trying to
but I was trying to protect myself.
Yeah, you were trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when we, as women, we experience this very vulnerable thing that really, it's your body, so you experience it in a different way than this, your partner or whomever or whatnot. And sometimes we do have those responses because it's like, nah, I'm not about to be disappointed again. Look, this disappointment is enough, what I'm experiencing, but the way you respond, it ain't about to be that.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was. I just wasn't ready for his response. I wasn't ready for another response that wasn't vulnerable and considerate to my feelings. I cleaned that up the best way I could. So,
it's understandable.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for an asshole response. But, I mean, it layman's terms.
Yeah.
So, so that's what happened. And I kept feeling embarrassed because I kept feeling like, why is this happening? And I just didn't understand. Like, now I understand why it's happening. And I'm grateful to God but I feel like sometimes I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it above. I feel like he has to do all that now. Like,
look, to work it out a different way. Look.
Like, you didn't have to do all that now. I would have listened. Like,
would you?
Crickets. You should put crickets right there. Maybe not.
I mean, of course, we don't know because this is how it played out, and I think it is important to see the positive in this, which you have named is like I found out, I got clarity on what was going on internally, and I was actually able to address it.
I got clarity on what was going on internally, and then I believe that the reason why it just didn't happen, just because the relationship wasn't necessarily the most healthy relationship. So remember I kept saying, like, I just was trying to smooth out the response so I would be protecting myself because I didn't want his response to be so big and so irate and so not considerate of my feelings. So I minimized a lot of situations. I minimized a lot of my feelings so he can have big feelings.
And you kept going, you kept working, you kept doing life until you said recently, like, I got into therapy.
I did get into therapy.
That's so amazing. That's so amazing because it'll address the grief and loss, not just current, but just the historical cycle of things that you experienced.
Yeah.
And hopefully you will get out of it this protection that we put on, how it's causing you to take on other people's emotional baggage as well.
That's a lot. It is a lot. And I think one thing that therapy has taught me is that I did put up a wall. Like, I still kind of have that wall, and we keep it 100. I kind of still have a little wall. It's a little wall. The first one was big. But she pointed it out to me. And the reason why I have that is because what was happening to me previously. So not only with the relationship, with the miscarriage and things like that. Like, I was so afraid to like make myself more vulnerable and things like that. So I had that wall up, and I couldn't necessarily process through a lot of things, and I couldn't be the best person to other people, and I wasn't the best to date other people. And actually, you want to know what? She put me on a restriction. She told me not to date nobody.
Okay, therapist, we like you.
She did. She told me not to. I didn't listen.
I know what you're saying, but I didn't listen.
I should have though.
And I actually have given that suggestion to people because really when our lens is our lens is in a place of like, I have to protect myself at all costs. I have to all of these things. We miss things about that person that maybe it was there from the beginning, but we just didn't see it.
No, for sure. And that's what she was trying to explain to me, because when I first started seeing her, and so she was like, basically we went through the rundown. She was like, okay, you had this, and this, and you're trying to do this, whatever. Cause you have your goals and things that you want to be, like, what do you want to get out of this, and what type of relationship and things like that. And so I told her, so she was like, I'm gonna be really honest, I understand that what you're trying to be, but I need for you not to date right now. And this was like a while ago. And I was like, okay. And I ain't listening. I didn't. I'm gonna be honest, like, it's when I was young, I'm gonna keep it a buck.
But that's the real.
Not only I'm gonna keep it a buck, I think this is one of the most vulnerable episodes that I did before, so I'm definitely gonna keep it a buck. And so I didn't listen. And because I didn't listen, like,
but let me
I kind of hurt a couple people's feelings.
I was gonna ask you, dating in that space that you described, did you find yourself being emotionally unavailable?
Oh, I was definitely emotionally unavailable. I was emotionally unavailable. I'd be like,
But I think that's a good point, because we don't think about that as women. We're thinking, well, it's not a big deal. I can, whatever, everybody got different definitions of dating. Whatever your dating
your dating definition is.
But to not be emotionally available, because sometimes the person could be dating us, but we really ain't dating the person, or vice versa.
No, for real. And that's the truth, though, because sometimes you do have situations where you're crazy about that person, and that person is like, that's just a cool girl. And you like over here daydreaming about him.
Cool girl. Excuse me,
that's what I'm saying. You over here daydreaming about him. Like, you planning your wedding and everything. And he like, yeah, I know her. I'm like, you just know me. But, I think that's why she made that suggestion. So I don't necessarily get into those scenarios or the ones who always just hurt people's feelings.
Yeah. I love this Rhea that's walking that list.
Took a little minute. I think when people think about wisdom and what takes you a long time, you have to go through shit to actually get wisdom. Like, you don't necessarily, some people do, I guess, but you don't necessarily learn unless you, like, in a fire.
And sometimes it's hard for me to hear you say, hey, don't do this, or don't touch that stove because of X, Y, and Z. I touched it before. Just kind of like our kids.
Yeah. I told you I was dating when she told me not to. I definitely was.
Lesson learned.
She definitely said no. I definitely said, watch me.
You gotta watch me. Watch me do this. But another thing that this really shows is that you position yourself to go through a healing process. And so that takes time. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact that you're investing in yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally.
For sure.
That's important.
Yeah, it is.
That's important.
I think it's important for women to invest in themselves emotionally and physically. Definitely emotionally, for sure. And when we break that down in those three areas, emotionally, because we'll say that we're something, but we won't name the emotion and deal with it and like move past it. It's like we say something and then we just, bury it, right? So we just bury it, and that's not the way we process anything. That's not the way you process any type of emotion. So yes, that's how you are emotionally available, when you process your emotions and you go through it. Like, you gotta feel that. Like, you gotta feel that anger. You gotta feel that sadness. Just like you feel happiness. You gotta feel all of that. And so, excuse me. And so that's one. And then physically, your physical health is important. Like, what you putting in your body, or vitamins you are putting it in and things like that, that's very important, because that can impact, your health. That can impact on, luckily mine has not returned. I have no signs of fibrosis returning or anything like that, and I am okay. I am very healthy, and I thank God for that. But that's, you have to put in exercise with your eating, your diets, your supplements, whatever you need. So yeah, emotionally, physically, and then what was the last one? You said spiritually? Or was it spiritually?
I mean, but spiritually as well.
Spiritually is good too.
physically, mentally, and emotionally. I think are the three of them.
Mentally for sure,
Yeah.
because you have to be mentally strong. And then one thing that I learned, you probably know this as well, is that like mentally, your mental health is not necessarily judged by how you get over things. It's like judged like while you're in the fire and how you handle it.
Yeah, because you could have took that opportunity to kind of just rehearse negative things to yourself of like, oh, I ain't never gonna be able to do this, or I'm horrible, whatever negative thought, would kind of come up in that space. But instead you chose to the process of healing. Yeah. And that takes mental capacity to do.
Yeah, it is. Listen, like sometimes she be reading me and I be like, girl, shut up. Since you got your degree and you think you know everything.
Since y'all are educated.
I'm like, girl, bye. I ain't about to deal with this right now.
Yeah, because then, it's up to you to take that feedback from that space and apply it to your life. So you can see change behavior. And that's work.
Definitely change behavior is work. You want to break those cycles.
Yes.
So I feel that. So yes. So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with those 3 miscarriages within a 5-year time span, 6-year time span. Yeah, about 5-6 year time span. And that was a lot. It was a lot on my body too.
Yes.
That's what I mean by like physical. Like it took a lot. I felt like, so like just think about, I feel like once I was over the miscarriage, I would get pregnant again. Like I felt like, okay, like I had this one, I'm better, and it wasn't my time, and I grieved, and it's all gone, and then I end up pregnant again, and I would have to go through that all over.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a cycle.
Definitely a cycle. That's why I tried to get out that cycle. Definitely a cycle. I had to get out of that and realize that it wasn't my fault, and I should not have been embarrassed. But I was though, and I was ashamed, and I felt guilty in a lot of ways too. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got, y'all. Books. All About Love. We still talking. I'm still reading that one, but it's another book. It's funny that you mentioned it. It's called Let me get it. Cause I wrote it down, and it does talk about how you rewire your brain.
Mm-hmm. Because when people are patterned, if you think about it, you're sitting in the classroom, there are no assigned seats. You find yourself going back to the same seat. We are people are patterned, so you do have to rewire that thinking.
And then you'll get mad too.
Listen,
when somebody else
we have an unassociated thing of like, that's my seat. We ain't never said it, but I sit there.
I sit there all the time. You want to know, the book is called Live Wired Brain. Live Wired, The Inside Story of the Ever-Changing Brain by David Engelman. But that's true though. You want to know something, how that happened? It's because I came in, I was going to sit there. I was going to sit right here in this chair. Which I know Kelly could be on the show like more than once. And she always sits here. And so she went straight to this chair.
Habit. I didn't even think about it. I just unconsciously did it.
So that's what I'm saying. That happens. You got to break those cycles. You got to break those patterns. And so I did. I just wanted to share that with you all because I know a lot of people do not talk about miscarriages because it is a very difficult subject. It's a hard subject, and I still, sometimes think and wonder and grieve that, especially the last one. But I told y'all that earlier in the podcast. But other than that, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Tune in to Womanology and subscribe. This is Rhea, the host of Womanology, and Candace.
Candace. You up there, Candace? You talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You got your own YouTube. Go ahead.
That's what I said.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Oh, my YouTube is Candace Graves, PAX. Girl, what's the right? I'm like, what's the what do I do?
Where do I work? What's the login? But yes, Candace, PhD, SOLC, and she has a lot of topics that talk about therapy and a lot of topics that just kind of walk you through scriptures and therapy and what it says about the mind and how it goes together. If you listen to it for real, it really does talk about a lot of neuroscience and how the Bible backs it up. So yeah, so that's what we got. Love y'all. Bye.